Hello everyone, very happy today to do the body tag by my friend Brandon at Brandon's Bookshelf. He came up with this very creative tag after he did some months ago another one called the Philosophy or Philosophy of Life tag, which also was a really fun one. So no further ado, I'm gonna jump right into it. And thank you, Brandon, for creating this one. Prompt number 1, the brain or intellect. For this one, I'm thinking of a book called I Am a Strange Loop by Douglas Hofstadter. This book came out in 2007, and I think I bought it as soon as it came out and read it as soon as it came out in 2007. And it really blew my mind for the speculations, for the really deep concepts and ideas about the concept of consciousness, human consciousness, and mind. So it's a book that is right at the cusp of philosophy of mind, but also neurobiology. It's kind of in between those two fields. And the topic, the conversation, I think the global conversation about the nature of consciousness has not come to a conclusive point at all. So that makes it even more fascinating. The strange loop of the title is in fact a conceptual experiment that Hofstadter describes in order to try to explain our sense of I, our ego, the way our consciousness, the way we see ourselves. And the experiment is this: you should imagine a TV screen with a camera looking out, and then another camera that comes out of it and looks back at this TV screen and camera system, therefore creating a loop, creating this strange loop, let's say, between the two cameras that forms our consciousness almost as an illusion. Prompt number 2, mouth voice. I don't know why, but as soon as I read this prompt, my mind went to a science fiction story, which is probably a horror story more than science fiction, titled I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream by Harlan Ellison, that was written in 1967, and it won the Hugo Award in 68 for a short story. It's for whoever is listening and watching this video, whoever of you knows it, it's a very, very, very dark story, but in a certain sense it's also exciting because there is a thrilling adventure as part of it. It could fall under the post-apocalyptic genre, even if it's a little bit ante litteram, and the world has been taken over and decimated. In fact, there's been almost a complete genocide operated by artificial intelligence, and the few human survivors are undergoing some kind of sadistic torture by artificial intelligence. So it's a story for people who have a little bit of a stomach, I think. But it's a very, very good one. And this title has remained very famous in the history of science fiction. Prompt number 3, heart feeling. So for this prompt, I'm presenting Cuore, which is a very famous novel in the Italian literature. In fact, the title Cuore means heart. And the author is Edmondo De Amicis. The book was written in 1886, and it's a simple book made of a lot of, let's say, pastiche little stories, and it follows the life of a class, a school class, and in particular some kids, and one particular kid in this class, in Italy, of course. So it has a little bit of an educational sense, and you can see the growth of the classmates as they go through the school year. But Cuore is also very famous because it has been used, for one reason or the other, as political propaganda. Initially from the Italian left, and also from some communist countries of the Eastern Bloc in Europe. During Italian fascism, however, it was used by the Italian fascists, by Mussolini, for fascist propaganda. So it's an interesting background story that I would encourage you to learn and find out if you haven't heard about it. Prompt number 4, the arm strength. My mind went to a beautiful series. I'm quoting the title of the third book in this series that is called Kill the Shogun by Dale Furutani. This is a samurai mystery, and of course it's fictional, but it's very accurately placed in the world of Japanese samurais. And the hero of these novels, his name is Kaze, is a samurai of extraordinary physical and mental strength. Not in a cartoonish way. There is a lot of drama as well. There is some kind of depth, but overall they are quick books to go through. And if you read them, you also learn a little bit about medieval Japan as well. Prompt number 5, elbow humor. I'm going to go for a title that made me laugh all the way through. This is Lost on Planet China by J. Martin Trost. I love this author. This is in fact a non-fiction book because it talks about his time in China as he went there paid by his corporation as an employee of his corporation to work and to learn something about China, but his irony and sarcasm and wit are present on every page, and I think he's gonna make you laugh if you haven't read the book yet. Prompt number 6. This is The Stomach Food, and I thought about a comic book, in fact about a great comic book series which is actually very successful, and it has been for the last I would say 10 years in the market. The title of the series is Chew. Chew is an American comic book series about a US FDA agent, Food and Drug Administration. His name is Tony Chu, C-H-U, but of course the title of the comic is C-H-E-W, who solves crimes by receiving psychic impressions from the food, including people's. So he will eat a particular food, and this food will give him intuitions or understandings about a particular case. It's of course a very fantastic premise, but it's nicely drawn and very engagingly written by the authors. Their names are John Layman and Rob Guillory. Prompt number 7 is the Groin romance. So for this one I went towards the romance direction, and again I'm thinking about a comic book which I love. Is one of the best graphic novels I've read in the last 10 years probably, by one of my favorite graphic novel authors. His name is Ram V. He's an Indian author, and this book is titled These Savage Shores. It's been published only a few years ago, I believe in 2019, and the story revolves around a beautiful, very beautiful love story between two, we can call it Indian protagonists. And you could say there is a horror element to the book, although it's absolutely not heavy. In fact, probably the most beautiful part of the book is the design, the type of graphic inventions, the creativity that the author had in terms of how to structure his pages, and the beautiful style of the artist as well. Prompt number 8. For this prompt, I'm thinking of a poem. One of my favorite international poets, his name is Pablo Neruda, I think all of you will know him. He wrote a beautiful poem called Your Hands, and this was part of a poetry collection. I believe there was one of his latter in life collections of poetry, and I'm going to read only the final portion of the poem that goes like this. All the years of my life I walked around looking for them, your hands. I went up the stairs, I crossed the roads, trains carried me, waters brought me, and in the skin of the grapes I thought I touched you. The wood suddenly brought me your touch. The almond announced to me your secret softness. Until your hands closed on my chest, and there, like two wings, they ended their journey. Prompt number 9 is legs and fitness. So for this one, I am more in the direction of legs. In fact, I thought about legs, and immediately I thought about a novel I read many years ago called The Empire of the Ants. In fact, the title is Empire of the Ants. The original book is in French by author Bernard Werber, and I just loved it. This is in fact, I think, the first one of 2 or 3 of a series that was really successful in France. And of course, the entire book is about ants. It's about the world as seen through ants' eyes, even if they don't really have eyes, they have antennas. And the scientific knowledge and the biological knowledge that the author brought into this book is incredible, because when you're done with it, when you've read it, you really feel like you've been almost inside the head of an ant. There is an adventure, of course, and there are somewhat distant human beings in the novel as well, so there is a certain maybe humoristic aspect to the book, but the science and the biology in it are very, very serious. A tremendous book that I would recommend to anybody. And finally, last prompt number 10, foot travel. For this one, I'm choosing The Ends of the Earth. It's a travel book. The Ends of the Earth. From Togo to Turkmenistan, from Iran to Cambodia, A Journey to the Frontiers of Anarchy. It's one of my favorite travel books that I've ever read. The author is Robert Kaplan, and this particular book was written in 1997. What I love about it is that it's a travelogue that goes very deep into the history and in the societal issues of every country and location where the author goes. He's very prepared. There is a certain erudition about the author that went into the book itself, but he travels everywhere, starting from West Africa. He went from Togo to Ghana to the Ivory Coast until Iran and until Cambodia in this very long journey that is documented in this book. So even if it's from 23, 24 years ago, I would still recommend it to anybody who wants to have a little bit of a on-the-ground feel of this type of third world countries and how life was there 25 years ago, and in many cases it hasn't really changed much today in 2022. So once again, Brandon, big thank you for coming up with this creative idea, the body tag, and just like you did, tagging the entire universe, I'm also tagging the universe. I've seen that many people already have done it, and but anyway, if you're watching and you haven't done it yet, please go ahead and consider yourself tagged. Thank you.